Hey, what's going on there, guys? My name is Kyler, and you are at the Grace Kids Corner. And we've been learning about a bunch of different names of God. We're going to continue that this week with another one, that Lord is our provider. But before we get into our story, I want to do our memory verse together. It comes from Acts 4:12. Let's do it together. There is salvation in no one else. God has given no other name under heaven by which we must be saved. What a good verse to remember that Jesus is our salvation and no one else is. Now, I know that last week we built a massive fort and we dove into how God is our fortress. This week I have a challenge for you. I want you to go around your house and find your favorite toy. Now I know maybe some of you guys, just like Teddy here or PG the Penguin, have it with you already. But if you don't, go ahead, go find it. I'm going to talk through some of my favorite toys, so you have a little bit of time. But this one right here, Teddy, my teddy bear, we've been together for a really long time. He's just someone that I find a lot of comfort with. He's a great friend right here. PG the Penguin, also a really good friend of mine. But, you know, kind of as I got older, I started having some other favorite toys. And, you know, one of them I started doing whenever I was really young. And it is it's soccer, the soccer ball. And I would spend a lot of time playing soccer. There's just something about it, you know, I could do it with friends, I could do it by myself, and I played for a really long time. And even now, I still play. And so a soccer ball has a really special place in my heart. But there's this other one that actually, as I got older, I started getting really into, and it's video games. Video games, I used to play video games all the time, and even now still, I have to set up certain boundaries because I can get carried away playing a video game for hours on end. And so hopefully you have your toy now, but I have our very first special guest. His name is Jeff, and Jeff is going to tell us about the story about how the Lord is our provider. Jeff, what's your favorite toy?
Sweet. I am glad to see that you brought your favorite toy with you today. As you can see, I brought mine. This has been my favorite toy since I was your age. Back when I was your age, I did everything I could to go outside and shoot baskets. I remember going out and shoveling snow off the driveway. I remember begging my mom and dad to take me to a basketball camp. I remember wanting to play basketball in high school and in college. I've even been a coach in Kansas City for like the last 28 years, so I know something about loving an object. I love this thing. Now, my name's Jeff. And we're gonna get to know each other a little better here in the next 8 to 10 minutes. But I wanna ask you kind of a serious question here. What would you do if I asked you to take your favorite thing and put it in the garbage? Now, take a look at whatever object you have right now. Look at it really close. Touch it, smell it. This is your favorite thing. But would you do this with it? Easy. That has a little something to do with our story today. Now, if I asked you to do that, you may or may not take your favorite object and put it in the trash because you really don't know me. We haven't built any trust yet. However, would you do that if your mom and dad asked you to do it? Probably not yet. Now, what if a voice came down from the clouds and asked you to throw that thing in the garbage? Would you do it then? That's going to be the point of what we're talking about today. All right, guys. I want to introduce you to somebody. It's my lovely daughter, Kelsey. Come here, Kelsey. Say hi, Kelsey.
Hi.
All right. Now, Kelsey's going to do something for me here. Kelsey, I want you to fall backwards.
Why?
Kelsey, would you just please fall backwards for Dad?
Okay.
All right. Kelsey, that really wasn't very smart. Why on earth did you do that? You could have gotten hurt.
Well, I trust you. Because you love me and you know what's best for me, so I didn't think you would let anything bad happen to me.
Kelsey makes a fantastic point. I'm her father. I would never ask her to do anything that's going to hurt her because I've always got her best interest at heart. Today, guys, we're going to get a story, and that story is going to come from Genesis chapter 22. It's about a guy named Abraham. Can you say Abraham? Good. And about his son, Isaac. Can you say Isaac? Haha, perfect. You guys are really smart. All right, now, I'm going to be making my acting debut here today, and I'm going to be turning myself into another character. So for just a few moments while we're together here, I'm going to be Isaac, okay, instead of Jeff. All right. Okay, so now again, my name's not Jeff, it's what? How about you there in the chief shirt? Yes, my name is Isaac. Really smart. Okay, so here's how things go. In Genesis chapter 2, my dad and I are out working, and I go inside, and a voice comes from the clouds and says, Abraham. And my dad says, here I am. And he said, tomorrow morning, I want you to take your son to Mount Moriah, and I want you to offer him as a burnt offering to me. Now, I clearly didn't hear that portion of the message, or I would have had a much more difficult time making a trip to Mount Moriah with my dad. I think I probably would have gone kicking and screaming. However, I had no idea what was getting ready to go on. So the next morning, my dad comes in, he wakes me up, and he says, hey, buddy, let's get up. You and I and a couple other guys are going to head out to Mount Moriah. So I said, okay, no problem. I said, what are we going to do there? He said, well, we're going to go up there and worship. I was like, perfect, okay. I was getting a little tired of being shut in, kind of like you kids probably are, getting quarantined right now. I was ready to get out and go. And so anyway, we took some firewood, and we took these other two guys, and we took a donkey and some other things, and we took off walking. So here we go. Before we left, I asked Dad exactly, so where are we going? And he said, you see that mountain behind you? We're going to go over that mountain. And that's where we're going to go worship. I thought, sweet. That's like a 2 or 3 days journey. He said, that's right. I said, well, let's get going. So we would walk and talk along the way, and just normal father-son stuff. And I remember Dad saying we were going out there for a burnt offering, and I didn't see a lamb anywhere. Do you see a lamb anywhere? Me either. So anyway, Dad said, don't worry about it. Just trust me. God said he would provide the lamb. I was like, cool. As we kept getting closer, I really started to wonder, where is this lamb? This is driving me crazy. And I said, Dad, where is this lamb? We have everything we're going to need. What if we get up there and we aren't going to have what we need? He said, son, don't worry about it. Just trust me. I'm like, okay, good enough. So we kept walking. And we finally came to a beautiful clearing. Up there where nobody else was, except the guy mowing his lawn. And my dad turned to the other guys and he said, listen, we're going to go up, just my son and I, and we're going to worship, and we're going to come back. Now, I want to tell you something that's really an interesting part of this story. He told those two men that we were going to go up together and that we were both coming back. Do you guys remember what God said to Abraham? Yes. He told Abraham, you're going to go there and sacrifice your son. In no uncertain terms, he had no reason to believe that he was coming back with his son. But Abraham believed there was no way God was going to take his son from him. Why? Abraham was over 100 years old. His wife Sarah was over 90 years old. And God had made a promise to him 25 years earlier that he was going to have a son. He had no way of believing he was going to do that. However, Abraham was a great man. He believed God and was going to be obedient and do what God told him. So we took off and went up the mountain. Came to this beautiful clearing. Still no lamb. So Dad was going to go get busy working on something. He was going to go build an altar, and I was going to go see if I could find a lamb. Is there a lamb under there? Do you see a lamb in there? Oh, Dad's calling me. Oh, he finished building the altar. I guess he wants me to go over there. So, Dad, we're done with the altar? Okay, good. All right, so again, where's this lamb? I know. Don't worry. He's going to provide himself for it. What? Okay. So then I go over to my dad, and I'm standing by the altar. He binds my hands. He binds my feet. What would you be thinking if your daddy tied your hands and your feet together? That's a little silly, isn't it? So here I was, the wood for the altar, hands tied, feet tied, and Dad lays me down. And I'm like, Dad, what you doing? He said, no, just relax, son. I said, that's easy for you to say. You're not the one on the altar. Dad, where is this lamb you were speaking of? He said, don't worry. God's going to provide the lamb like he promised. Like, okay. And then I look over and Dad is grabbing a knife. As he reaches for the knife, a voice comes from the heavens. It was the angel of the Lord. And he said, Abraham, Abraham. Dad says, here I am. He says, do not lay a hand on that boy. You've proven to us that you are not going to even hold your son from me. You've kind of passed the test, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. Oh my gosh, I was so happy. I sat up and I looked at Dad and he looked at me. And I kid you not, our eyes met and both of us heard a rustling behind him. And we both saw the lamb that I had been looking for. It was a ram caught with his horns in a thicket. Oh, he's a fighter. Never have I been more happy to find an animal with his horns stuck in a thicket. So, Dad and I took the lamb and we put it on the altar, just like God had promised. After we had sacrificed the lamb, Dad named this place. This is what they used to do if there was a huge spiritual experience there. They would name that place. They named this place Jehovah-Jireh, which means the Lord will provide. That is an awesome story. And what an awesome lesson for me to learn as a young man from my father and his faith in God to always trust him. Okay, now, I'm going to go back to Jeff here for a second. Here's something really good you can take away from this story for you. But even if somebody, your parents, may ask you to do some things you don't understand, you can always trust them because they love you. They've got your best interest at heart. On an even grander scale, God, who is a perfect father, would never ask you to do anything that's going to hurt you. In fact, he's always going to do what's best for you. In fact, I want to share a verse with you. It's one of my favorite from the Bible. It's 2 Peter 1:3. And it says that God has provided us with all things that have to do with life and godliness. That means that anything that has to deal with my life, outside of church, outside of spiritual things, things I may not even think God cares about, and all the things that are godly, whether it's church, Word of God, souls of men, all those things. God has provided me everything I need for all of that stuff. It's one of the best promises that there is in the Bible. Believe me, your parents have your back, but most importantly, you can trust that God will always have your back.
Wow, Jeff, what a great story. Thank you so much for sharing. It's so crazy to think that even through all the craziness, all the chaos that was going on, what Isaac could have been thinking, Abraham trusted and believed that God would provide. Even when it seemed crazy, just like giving up a toy or throwing it in the trash, God knew that Abraham, that was something that Abraham loved, his son. But Abraham trusted God and the Lord provided. Now at the end of this video, we have 2 quick family discussion questions that you guys could go through as a family. And you can find more resources on gracefamiliesathome.com for more activities, resources, things to do during this time, and an overview of this weekend's lesson. We'll see you next week.